2 tickets, please.
Welcome back. Episode 5, 2 Tickets Podcast. It's going to be a little bit of a different episode, a little bit of a shorter episode. It's just me today. Tyler's been super busy. I'm just going to pop in, give you guys a little bit about what I've been watching, some news that's going on in the movie world. I just wanted to get you guys an episode. It's not going to be super long. I'm going to save some of the movie discussions for when Tyler gets back, hopefully next week. We'll get on and we'll do another full review and get back to the regular scheduled programming. But for now, I mean, you're gonna have me for probably about 30, 45 minutes. Just talking movies, TV shows, and some exciting news about stuff that I'm super pumped up about coming up in the movie industry. So to get into it, a little bit about what I've been watching the past, I guess, 2 weeks now, because we missed last week. Tyler was busy, did an episode with my buddy that we had some technical difficulties and we had some mic issues, missed about half of the episode, so not much we could have put out from there. So what I've been watching about the last 2 weeks, we're deep in a Marvel rewatch. Yes, Disney and Marvel just put out a whole list of what you need to watch ahead of Doomsday that comes out in December, but we're psychotic and we're watching every Marvel movie, specifically the MCU, and then we'll dive into a little bit of the X-Men right before Doomsday. So recently on those rewatches for the MCU, we have just watched Doctor Strange, Guardians 2, Thor Ragnarok, and Black Panther. And they're great. I mean, this phase of the MCU is so good leading into Infinity War and Endgame. Doctor Strange, I think it's a really good origin movie for him. Super unique character. I remember when back in, 2016 when that came out, watching it for the first time. It was really cool to see a different character opposed to the bigger ones in the bigger comics. So Doctor Strange is a good one. Guardians is good. A lot of people hate on Guardians too. They think it's the worst one. I think I'm a sucker for the Guardians. I really enjoy it. Thor Ragnarok is my favorite Thor movie. I think it's one of my favorites in the MCU. It's a good story. It's funny. It hits. And then Black Panther, obviously, it's a really good movie. It's a good story for T'Challa, Wakanda, and Black Panther, and it really builds up their status in the MCU very well. So I've been ripping those. This Friday, I'm recording this Wednesday night, so Friday I'll be watching. What do we have next? We have Infinity War, because we're watching. So to get it, we're watching in release order, not timeline order, because my buddy that we're watching with hasn't seen all of them. So watch them for the first time. I'm a firm believer you have to do release order, especially with the mid and post credit scenes. To make sense, they build into the next movie. You have to do release order. So I believe it is Infinity War, Ant-Man and Wasp, and then Captain Marvel. I have to fact check myself. But those are the next ones on the slate leading up to Endgame. And then we have Endgame Encore coming out at the end of September, which I'm excited about. I'm waiting for those tickets to go on sale, because that we're going to get a little bit of bonus footage and the post-credit scene that's going to lead directly into Doomsday. So I'm super pumped for that as well. But that's it for Marvel. We'll get into some Marvel news a little bit later after I discuss what else I've been watching. To get into newer movies that I've been watching, I watched The Last House, which came out 2 weeks ago on Netflix. I know I believe I mentioned that last episode. And me and Tyler have talked about it. Straight to streaming movies they haven't really hit for me, and for him, or just in general, I think. The Last House is like a sci-fi horror movie, and I like the concept. I just don't. It just didn't do it for me. The whole movie it builds you up in some good parts, and you get super invested, and then it just kind of like takes you out of it with, I don't know if it's the acting or just the screenplay itself, like how it was written. I wasn't a big fan of the monsters in the movie, and, like, the end of the movie just didn't, I don't know, just something about it just didn't really hit for me. It was just kind of a snooze fest for how long it was. I ended up giving it a 1 out of 5 on Letterboxd. Wasn't really a big fan. I mean, you the with the cast, you had Greta Lee and Wagner Moura front running the movie, and I don't know, it's just something about this movie just didn't really, it just didn't stick with me, didn't hit, like, none of, like, especially the ending, it just didn't do it for me, so I'm sitting at a 1 out of 5 on Letterboxd, and I probably a movie I won't go back to. Next I watched was another, like, kinda like a horror thriller, was The Gate with Mason Gooding, who me and Tyler reviewed in episode 3. We talked about 72 Hours, which he was one of the leads in with Kevin Hart. Um, but we had Mason Gooding, James Vanderbeek, Keith Powers, and Algie Smith. It's a horror movie about pretty much this community. It was like a thriller. I don't even know if you can consider it a horror. It's more of a thriller about like a gated community, and they ended up stumbling upon the community and they witness what they thought was a murder, and it turns out it's like a very like cultist community, and James Vanderbeek's like the lead preacher of the whole community. It's the whole thing, everything about it just kind of just, it was an interesting concept, similar to the Last House. It was an interesting concept that just didn't deliver for me. The story that was written and the screenplay that they were given just didn't do it for me. Another 1 out of 5. Yeah, I'm a sucker for horror and thriller movies. I'm always gonna watch. Granted, as a whole, right, they're never gonna be the greatest movies. Like, I don't think there's gonna be many horror thrillers that are gonna be 5 out of 5s or really high scores. I mean, there's gonna be a few, but as a whole, they're really not gonna tip the scales, but these 2 just didn't really do it for me. So, I'm sitting at a 1 out of 5 on both of them. Just not my cup of tea. Next up, another newer release that we talked about last week or last episode was One Night Only rom-com with Monica Barbaro and Callum Turner. We did a pre-rate on this. Tyler, I don't think has seen it yet. I'm not going to give my score on it in case we do end up talking about it in a couple episodes. It was a decent movie. I think it's kind of what I expected it to be. It's essentially like the sex purge where premarital sex is legal for one day, right? That's the whole premise of the movie. I think it was fun. Like, there was some funny moments. I don't know if I love Callum Turner in it as like how they portray, like the character they gave him to portray, but it was fun. It's not a bad watch. So if there's showings at your local theater, you can go see it. It's a couple good laughs. I mean, some raunchy comedy. So if you're into that, it's not a terrible watch, but it's not gonna knock the doors down and be contender for movie of the year, but it's a fun watch. Another one that I just watched was, I watched this last night. Yeah, last night I went to go see End of Oak Street, which I'm not going to dive into because this is definitely what Tyler and I are going to talk about next week on the podcast. Him and I vary on our scores. So it's going to be an interesting conversation. I enjoyed the movie. I think, again, we talked about in episode 1, dinosaurs. I'm a sucker. I'm always going to go see a dinosaur movie in the theaters. So be that as it will, I think it's a fun movie. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's only an hour and a half, I believe. It's not a long movie. So it's an easy watch. I think definitely go see it if you're into dinosaurs and like kind of like an action thriller type movie. I think it's definitely worth a watch. Like we talked about last week, it's good cast with Ewan McGregor and Anne Hathaway, so it's 2 good actors. Um, Unique story. I really like the take on it. I think visually it was done well. Um, so for me, I think you should go watch it. I enjoyed watching it. Like I said, it's an hour and a half. It's an easy watch. but I don't want to dive too deep into it because me and Tyler are going to have a hefty discussion about the movie, I believe, next week. So I'm going to table that conversation for now. And to turn the tables a little bit off of movies, there's a few TV shows that have come out recently and a few that I'm revisiting and watching the newer seasons of. To start is Amazon Prime has the Cape Crusader, Batman the Cape Crusader animated series, came out in 2024 for season 1, and then season 2 just came out in the past month or so. I ripped through that. It's 10 episodes. It's a fun watch. I think it's a really good animated series, and it's good to get like something enjoyable from DC. Granted, we're still diving into the DCU under James Gunn, and I'm going to get into their most recent TV show, Lanterns, in a little bit. But I think if you're an animated fan and you enjoy Batman, I think The Cape Crusader on Amazon Prime is a good watch. I ripped through season 2. I love the story that they're telling. So I'm excited to see if they continue that. I know it took 2 years to get the second season out, so I'm hoping maybe a little less for the third if they're going to do a third. Without spoilers, I'm not going to get into the whole plot of it, but they left it open for continuation. And following that, another animated series, X-Men 97, which I did talk about earlier in previous episodes. I was waiting for season 2 to fully come out, and then I can just binge it. I finished that last night. Was it last night? Last night, 2 nights ago. I finished. I love it. Um, just seeing the X-Men and like the animations are so good. The voice acting is phenomenal. It looks and feels like I was sitting down as a little kid in the late 90s, early 2000s watching like a 90s X-Men animated series. It's so good. And just seeing that gets me super excited for what I'm going to talk about later with the new X-Men movie coming out in 2028. And seeing that in live action is going to be super exciting. But yeah, I watched X-Men 97 season 2, really good. So I don't want to get into any of the plot or any spoilers if you haven't seen it or even watched season 1. I do recommend it. It's a good project from Marvel. This one is really good. I recommend watching it. And they're quick episodes. It's an easy watch. It's fun, and it'll keep you engaged the whole time. So X-Men 97 season 2, thoroughly enjoyed. To get into other TV shows, which me and Tyler have talked about, was Ted Lasso. Season 4 came out. Episode 3 actually came out today. I haven't watched it yet. I will be watching that either when I'm done recording or tomorrow at some point. But episode 1 and 2, I really liked episode 2. Episode 1 didn't move the needle for me, but it was a good, I guess, entrance into this new phase of what we're getting from Ted Lasso, because it's been a few years since the series initially ended before they decided to come back with this reboot. So episode 1's like it's an okay little recap, like getting to see the characters, but episode 2 picks it back up, and I'm super pumped to see what they do with it. Like me and Tyler talked about before, is I've only met people who love Ted Lasso, and then the people who don't have never seen the show. I haven't met someone who's watched all 3 seasons and was like, that show was okay or that show sucked. So I challenge people to not enjoy the show. It's so good. The first 3 seasons are awesome. It's fun, it's entertaining, it's a good story. So if you haven't seen Ted Lasso, I do recommend. It's on Apple TV. Go watch the first 3 seasons, and you have season 4, which is coming out weekly on Wednesdays. And I'm sure me and Tyler are going to start to get into discussing each episode weekly. It just depends on when we record and when we can actually sit down and watch each episode. So yeah, we have Ted Lasso season 4. Episode 3 comes out tonight as of recording, which is Wednesday, August 19th. And then last thing that I've watched is Lanterns, which is what I was talking about with DC. It's a part of the DCU. It's going to be very much involved in the story of the DCU. Episode 1 just came out on Sunday. I don't want to get into spoilers of it. I'm just going to say my quick thoughts on it because me and Tyler haven't really discussed it yet. And we're going to save that for podcast discussion. So it's going to be at the time of recording next week, episode 2 would come out. So we'll discuss episode 1 and episode 2. I think this is going to be a huge piece for the DCU, especially because Superman did good, but it didn't do phenomenal in the box office. I mean, it's tough to compare nowadays with Marvel and what they're doing. I mean, Spider-Man grossed over $2 billion already. It's the 8th highest grossing movie of all time. So they're in a tough spot to compete with Marvel. And it's like, you don't really want to compare the two, but you have to in a sense of superhero movies and the box office. Like, Marvel really set the standard, and DC doing a full reboot of like their cinematic universe. It's if they're coming out around the same time, they're gonna have to like it's a competition. And the numbers with the first two movies being Superman and Supergirl compared to what Marvel is giving us and what they're gonna give us. I mean, Doomsday is set. It's probably gonna open up at $1 billion weekend. Like, Doomsday is gonna be massive. And by the time Doomsday comes out, DC will have 3 movies hit the box office because we're gonna have Clayface coming out in the fall. So that being said, not to completely shit on DC because I'm excited for it. I'm a big DC fan. I'm all in. Like, I love it, but they're in a tough spot where Marvel's hitting a stride where they could be just back to just dominating with really good projects, and DC's trying to get their ground, like trying to get the ball rolling. So it's a little bit of a tough spot. But back to what the main topic was Lanterns episode 1. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm super excited with this story and what they're gonna do with it. I think the casting is phenomenal. I think episode 1 was really good. I think it was a good first episode. Obviously, by the end of the season, like, that could obviously change. It's only one episode, about 40, 50 minutes of actual screen time that I've seen, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think it's a good piece to this story, and I'm super excited to watch this weekly to see how this progresses. And like I said, it comes out Sunday nights. I believe it's Sunday night. It's Sundays at minimum, but it was really good. I enjoyed it. I'm pumped for this Sunday to watch episode 2, and I'm gonna try to stay on top of it. I think me and Tyler are both gonna try to watch Ted Lasso and Lanterns weekly so we can discuss and continue to give you guys feedback as the both of those series progress. But I am excited. I know I did kind of like contradict myself and kind of put DC down a bit with the box office and the numbers. It is tough. They're in a tough spot with how good Marvel is doing with their movies and just their universe. I mean, the universe has been going on for 18 years and there's no stopping. So they already have movies lined up for the 20th anniversary, essentially, because Iron Man came out in 2008, and we have the slate for 2028. So they're 2 decades continuously, and they're kind of doing like a hard reboot. So we'll see how it plays out. I'm excited. I love the Superman casting. I love the Supergirl casting. I thoroughly enjoyed the Superman movie. Supergirl, I think, was promising. I love the casting of Millie Alcock. I just don't think it was the best story they could have told with her. Lanterns after episode 1. I mean, the castings are great, and the opening episode was great. So I'm excited to see where that goes. Clayface being a body horror is something super unique, and I'm super pumped for that in the fall. So DC has a lot of promise, and I think it's going to be super exciting to see how they attack their universe and where they go moving forward. But to switch gears from DC back to Marvel, which, I mean, they have, if people were throwing around the term superhero fatigue and that Marvel's fallen off, I'd be shocked if you watch Spider-Man Brand New Day and have watched any bit of news or read anything on social media about what they're doing, I'd be shocked if you aren't excited and back in. I know I was talking to my cousin about it. He kind of hit that lull where like they just weren't really doing it for him. We went to go see Spider-Man Brand New Day, and we've been talking about all the news that's coming out. And he texted me. We were talking about it this morning. He said, "I think I'm back." So I think they're doing everything right. I mean, Doomsday is going to be massive in December. I'm super excited for it. I was nervous because there's just so many moving pieces to this movie, so many cast members, like big people. They're bringing in old characters. Like it could easily not be a good movie, but the closer we get and the more I'm hearing about it, I'm getting super excited for it. And I talked to Tyler about it. I was going to wait till we were on here to discuss, but I'm going to say it now. I'm going to put out this take before Doomsday. They've been doing the marketing that Robert Downey Jr. is Doctor Doom. He's going to be the big bad of the movie. I thoroughly believe, and I kind of hope, it's not just a thought. I'm hoping for it because I think it's going to be a super tough sell for me. I think Robert Downey Jr. is going to be Doctor Doom, but I don't think he's going to be the Doctor Doom, like the big bad Doctor Doom, like the big villain of this movie and Secret Wars next year. I think he's going to be a Doom variant who's going to have a major role in this movie, but I don't think he's going to be the big bad, which I'm hoping for because I don't know if I can be sold seeing his face under the Doom mask. We got 10 years of Robert Downey Jr., Tony Stark, Iron Man, the man, the face of the MCU, the face of the Avengers. It's a tough sell for me to just turn my brain off and be like, well, but it's Doctor Doom now. So I really think it's going to be like a Doom variant that's just going to play on the emotional piece when he takes that mask off. They see his face like, holy shit, that's Tony. But it's not going to be the big bad and the Doom that's going to wreak havoc and be like the almighty villain for this movie. So that's my take. I'm going to stamp it right now. I'm going to clip this. It's going to be the first thing I'm going to put out. That being said, back to, well, we won't get too much into Doomsday. I've been dodging trailers and dodging everything left and right. I'm trying to go into this raw without seeing spoilers or some theories and stuff like that. So I really want to sit down December 18th and just be in awe watching this movie for 2 hours and 50 some minutes or however long it is. Getting into the exciting news and what's coming in 2028. We talked about it last episode, 2 episodes ago. 2 episodes ago before Spider-Man. We have Ghost Rider coming out in 2028, which is looking like it's going to be summer 2028. Black Panther 3 in December, most likely, of 2028. And now we're going to get the X-Men. An X-Men movie, live action, in the MCU with a fresh cast that was just announced this past weekend at D23. It's confirmed we're getting an X-Men movie at some point in 2028. I'm just going to say some point, just so in case there is any delays. And there was a cast reveal this weekend at D23. I know there's a lot of skepticism online. Now there's a lot of people questioning the casting. For me, I personally am super excited for what they do with this version of the X-Men. And now, obviously, it's not the full cast, but it's going to be the primary people that they're going to build this mutant saga or whatever they're going to call it. And they're going to build around these people, and I'm pumped. So, obviously, to start, if you've seen Spider-Man Brand New Day, we all know Jean Grey is going to be played by Sadie Sink. You saw her in Brand New Day. I really liked her playing the character. I think it was a good portrayal, and you see her kind of going off like upstate at the end of the movie, pretty much leading that she's going to find like Xavier School. That's like the assumption they want to leave you with. So we have Sadie Sink as Jean Grey, and I know I mentioned Xavier. We do have Charles Xavier, Professor X, is going to be played by Christopher Abbott. That is the only one. There's two. I'm not super. I don't know if I could say convinced. Convinced is not a good word for it? I'm not super aware of Christopher Abbott's work. I know he was in Wolfman, and he played in a part in Kraven the Hunter, the movie, the Sony movie, which I am upset about. I do love Kraven as a character. I would love for him to be in the MCU. I loved Aaron Taylor Johnson as Kraven. I just think Sony just put out a pile of shit with that movie. So, but Christopher Abbott will be Professor X. He was in those two movies. I'm not super well versed in his work, but Marvel really doesn't get castings wrong a lot of the times. So I'm excited to see his portrayal. And I guess that'll lead me into the other one who I'm not super aware of because I don't think she's done anything big. I know she's a stage and like theater actress and very talented, but we have Maya Boyd who will play Storm. She's younger. I think it's a good fit. She's talented. Everyone's saying this is good. So I'm very intrigued to see her portrayal of Storm. The next one is Kit Connor as Cyclops. And I think it's a good casting. I think the look of him playing a Scott Summers Cyclops is, I think it's a good fit. I'm super excited. And I want like a leading, like an X-Men leader Cyclops. We didn't really get a lot of that in the two iterations of the X-Men. I think like being team leader, having Cyclops in that role is going to be huge. And I'm super excited to see what they do with it. Following that, we have Samara Weaving as Emma Frost, which I think is a phenomenal casting. I love Samara Weaving. I think she's really good in a lot of the movies she's in. Obviously, she's in a lot of horror thriller movies, and I think she plays those roles really well. So I'm excited to see what version of Emma Frost and how they portray her. So you have Samara Weaving as Emma Frost. I think it's a good one. The big bad, the villain in this movie is going to be Mr. Sinister, portrayed by Adam Driver, which I am pumped for. I love Adam Driver. I think he's a really good actor. And he said it in the announcement video that him and Kevin Feige have been talking for years, trying to get a role for him to play. And they finally, this was like the perfect fit for him. He really loved this fit, this character. So I think Adam Driver's Mr. Sinister is going to be super sick. And I'm excited to see that. And then this is probably the most controversial one I've seen online. And a lot of people don't like it. A lot of people are like, you guys are nuts. I think this is going to be awesome. We have Indy Navarrete playing Rogue. And if you don't know who she is, she was in Superman and Lois, and she's in most recently in Obsession, the movie that took the box office by storm. I mean, it was a $750,000 budget, and it grossed over $490 million, almost $500 million. Her being the main actress in that movie, I think she was phenomenal in that movie. Just the emotion and the back and forth. If you haven't seen Obsession, please go watch it. It's very good. She crushes that role, and a lot of people are like, I just doesn't see her as Rogue to me. I think she's going to be a good fit. I think it's a big risk, right? She doesn't have the resume as some of these other actors. I mean, Maya Boyd doesn't have a super big resume either, from what I know. I could be wrong, but I like that, right? Like we're starting off this X-Men. They're all young in like the younger roles. I think it's gonna build for a good cinematic universe. Like we're building the X-Men up for these longer movies, and I think Indy Navarrete can play a good Rogue. I think the way she was able to snap back and forth in Obsession, and like she showed her range in that movie. I think however they're gonna write this Rogue, whether it's gonna be like an emo dark Rogue or that Southern Belle Rogue, or they might do a combination of both. Who knows? I don't know what Rogue they're gonna give her, but I like the casting. I think she showed her range in Obsession, and I'm excited to see what she does as Rogue and like what kind of Rogue they give her to play. But yeah, that was the big news out of D23 from the Marvel side. I mean, we also got the trailer for Vision Quest, which is coming out in October, which is a show about Vision, which I'm excited for. They're bringing Ultron back. So we'll see how that does. I mean, they just recently canceled Wonder Man, which I thought was a really good show, but the viewership wasn't there. So we'll see how this show does in October. But that was the two big pieces. They've released another trailer for Doomsday, which I haven't seen. So we got the X-Men cast, Vision Quest trailer, another Doomsday trailer, the big pieces that I saw from Marvel at D23. And just to recap, the cast as a whole, top to bottom, we got Christopher Abbott playing Professor X, Kit Connor playing Cyclops, obviously Sadie Sink playing Jean Grey, Maya Boyd as Storm, Indy Navarrete as Rogue, Adam Driver, Mr. Sinister, and Samara Weaving as Emma Frost. So I'm excited. I really like the cast. I don't know a whole lot about some of them, but I think it can be really good. I think I'm also just, after watching X-Men 97, just super excited for a live action X-Men within this MCU. Obviously in Doomsday, we're gonna get the older uh early 2000s X-Men cast in that movie, but a new iteration of the X-Men under the MCU is super exciting, and I'm just very intrigued as to what they're gonna do with it. I think that's really about it for me and this little report that I have. Like I said, it's going to be 30, 45-minute episode. I covered what I watched. I got the Marvel news, X-Men casting, obviously the big news of the weekend. I wanted to do this episode just to talk about it and let everyone know. Off the top of my head, I don't know what's hitting the box office this weekend. I think Tony's going worldwide this weekend, which is that Anthony Bourdain movie. Well, the movie about Anthony Bourdain, which I'm excited to see. I'm going to go watch that for sure. And then I'm not sure what else. I'd have to double check. But the two big things that I'm excited for week to week is going to be Lanterns coming out on Sundays on HBO Max. If you're a DC fan or you want to start getting into the DC universe, I recommend catching up, watching episode 1, and then you get episode 2 this Sunday. And then obviously Ted Lasso every Wednesday. Episode 3 is out now, and they'll be the week to week shows that I'm watching. I don't know of any shows coming out until October with Vision Quest, and then movies off the top of my head, I'm not too sure. Last piece as well, tickets acquired for Doomsday. Me, Tyler, and then my buddy who I go see movies with, we got our tickets Friday. We got on Friday, December 18th, and then Tyler put in work yesterday and got us all tickets to go see Dune. So we're going to do a Dunes Day theater run Sunday, December 20th. We're going to go see Dune in the early afternoon, and then we're going to go watch Doomsday later at night. So that'll be a fun day. So Dune tickets are on sale now. Avengers Doomsday, go get your tickets. There are going to be two huge movies, both coming out December 18th. I know there's earlier showings for Dune with IMAX. They're showing it earlier in the week, which I think is a smart move. I don't want to get too deep into it. Me and Tyler were talking about it. We're going to talk about the politics and the business side of it, of why didn't neither of them change the date with how big these movies are going to be. Like, I feel like it's just hurting one another. Um, but both those tickets are out now. If you're a fan of Dune or if you're a fan of Marvel movies, you're a fan of both. Try to go get your tickets any way you can, anytime you can. They're out now. And then hopefully next week, we'll have an episode for you. Me and Tyler will be back. We'll give you that review of End of Oak Street, talk about more of what we're watching, and then really dive into Lanterns. We can discuss more about that. But until then, have a good one. I'll see you guys next time.